I'm Joey.
And I am Tomas.
And this is the New Sia Podcast. Welcome back for episode 3. We have a very, very personal topic for us, which is athletics and how athletics can relate to being a Catholic man in 2026.
Alright, so we'll just get right into it then? Because I think we got a lot.
Wait, before we get into it,
Okay.
we did have somebody comment on the last video to look up
right.
Bishop Donald Sanborn, which we did, and we'll talk about him in later episodes. But I just wanted to, we didn't forget, we looked him up, so we'll be talking about him shortly, probably in the next episode or two.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
All right, let's jump right into it. I'm excited for this episode.
All right, so basically what we're gonna get into, just athletics and what that means is like how can that look to glorify God, basically, and then just kind of some of the similarities that being dedicated to your sport has with being dedicated to your Christian faith.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. Actually, we probably can talk about last meet that we had this past weekend because it went well for both of us.
Yeah,
very well.
Unbelievable.
Actually, I'll have you go first.
I was
get
gonna
into the
say,
whole thing. I want to hear.
Before we start, so again, in case this is you guys' first episode, we're going to Aquinas College, and we both run cross country and track and field, and so right now we're in our indoor season, and it's been a blast. We last week we just had a very good. We both had a very good race.
Yeah.
So personally, I am coming off of an injury right now. So I unfortunately had a weird. It was a long-term injury that I kind of had with my legs.
Yeah.
So I worked a lot over the summer to kind of get that better. I was working every day, just doing hours of cross training and exercises every day. Then it carried over into cross-country season, which I unfortunately had to redshirt, which essentially means I'm still going to practice with the team. Even though I couldn't run, I'd go to practice and maybe I'd bike or I'd do the elliptical or I would just do my cross-training. But I can't compete, right? Which obviously I couldn't really run. So after pretty, it's my freshman year, like I did not want to redshirt cross-country, but, I had to. That's God's plan for me. And so I just decided to make the most out of it and get as healthy as I could. So I really couldn't start putting in mileage until, I don't remember what month it was, but it was in the middle of cross season where I literally had to start at half a mile a week and increase 10% every week. My graph was beautiful on Strava for any Strava users, but other than that, it was brutal. And so I made it back though. I was able to train really well during winter break from December 12th until January 12th. I was able to train really well. Mm-hmm. I came back and I have had an unbelievable season. I got to do my first race with Aquinas just before winter break, just before December 12th. Inter squad, which was a very big PR. So last season for my mile, I ran a 5:45,
which was the senior year in high school.
Senior year, first year doing track. I had done cross country since 6th grade, but only track my senior year for a variety of reasons, which I can get into later. But anyways, I opened up with a 5 minute and 14-second mile this year, which is already a 30-second PR from my mile last year, which I was ecstatic about. So then it had me thinking, where can I go from here? And so the next race, I ran a 5:07. The race after that, I ran a 5:01. And then just last week, I broke the barrier and I ran a 4 minute and 59-second mile.
There you go.
Which I was very, very happy about.
And this is something that Joey has been talking about, like at least, I don't know, as long as I know you were saying, that's like my goal. But I think in your head, you thought that was your goal for like next year. And I was trying to tell you,
before I graduated.
Yeah, before you graduated. And I was like, Joey, I think you can break it this year. And you already did with a race or two to spare. So, I mean, kudos to you.
Yep.
So for me, I also had 4:59 is where Joey just ran the mile was this last meet at GVSU. Was this past Saturday. That race for me actually went very well too. I was not in the mile. I was in the 3K. That went so well. That was actually the first good race I had this indoor season. I'm in a similar boat to Joey. I am 2 years older than him, but this is my first indoor season ever. And it took so long to get used to the 3 intensity days of the week. Like, that is a lot for me. Like, I'm not used to that. Especially in cross, you would have 2, and maybe the third day would just be some hill strides or strides or something light, and the tempos were not as fast, and I just wasn't used to this 3 intensity.
What does that mean?
Like just because we had that's right, so with the exception of this week, every Monday was a workout, a tempo workout. Tempo workout implies that you're going 30 seconds slower than the pace of your PR in like a 5K. So let's say you run a 5K, 17 flat. It's about 5:28. Let's just round it to 5:30
per mile.
Per mile. So then your tempo pace would be 6 minutes flat. So your workout days on Monday would be running 6 flat miles. I mean, like miles in 6 minutes every single time. If you said do 3 miles at tempo pace, the first one would be 6 minutes, and second and third as close as you can. Can't be perfect. And then Tuesday, like a easy run, and then Wednesday would be a workout. That would be faster pace. Usually on the indoor track we have here at AQ. That would, how do you want to put that? That's closer to like race paces, but not for the race distance. So let's say you run a mile, and let's take your 4:59. Let's say you were supposed to do that. Let's call it 5 now. Let's call it 5 flat, rounded up. So that would look like run 4 400s, but run it at 5-minute mile pace. So, it's not all in one go, but...
Or even, sometimes they'll even bump it up. So it'll be, we're going to do... Like, I do the mid-distance workouts.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
His workouts are longer than mine. Mine are shorter but faster, typically.
Yeah.
So, like, a workout for me could be, 200 repeats is a pretty common one that we'll do on Wednesdays. So it'll just be run 200s at 800 pace, or at 400 pace, or at... sometimes it'll be 150s at 2, or even 50 meters at 200 pace, which is for speed. So
yeah,
a lot that goes into workouts. But the moral of the story is that every Monday we have a workout, every Wednesday we have a workout, and every Friday we have a race.
The race, yeah. So that's the third day of just intense training.
Yeah.
But I got off to such a bad start to the season. But it was like, I remember I had a teammate that told me, he was like, well, you're just going to remain the course, right? I'm like, yeah. And then eventually I knew I was going to have a good race, which was this last week I ran a 9:48 in the 3K. It was my second ever 3K. And the first one was just the week before where I ran a 10:06. So I improved by 18 seconds, right?
A 3K is 1.8 miles.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is a decent, it's third longest race for indoor track. But for me, at least for me in my head, I was like improving by 18 seconds. And that's usually what I would expect. I even think 18 seconds in those 5-mile races, which is an 8K, is impressive. I was really happy to do it like a closer to a less than 2-mile race, but went really well. I was so thankful. The second I crossed the line, maybe 5 seconds after just so many people came up to me. It was really awesome. I'm sure you experienced the same thing. We were all trying to cheer you on when you race, and then try to get down there fast, and then a bunch of people started like crowding it. It was awesome though. So that's the beauty of the sport. And actually, we'll get into that kind of brotherhood as we get into this topic. So for Joey and I, A+. I would give ourselves as last weekend of the meet.
100%, yeah.
So it's so satisfying, and
all thanks be to God, of course.
Yeah, seriously.
Really, it's a miracle.
Because either of us could have just fallen into like some sort of despair, like I'm never gonna do this, but we didn't. That's a good thing. We had people to hold us accountable.
Yeah.
At least I can speak for that. But we're gonna get right into our topic. So basically, for the first thing I thought about in the comparisons of spiritual life, being an athlete, college runner, is the discipline and the daily practice. Okay.
Absolutely.
So like, take a workout for example. You might not feel faster doing, a workout or an 8-mile easy run, but it's every day we come to practice and we like no one's making us do this, right? It's the self-discipline that's saying like, okay, I'm gonna come in today and I'm gonna do what my coach says, and I'm gonna do it.
Even if it sucks.
Yeah, even if it sucks, and you just have to have the best attitude you can about it. You might not want to, but you're gonna get through it. You're gonna live. So just doing that when you don't feel like it, because I'll have a week or two where it's like, okay, this is fun, especially, when the weather's gonna get nicer. It's gonna be hard to keep me not outside the running. Like that's all I'm gonna want to do for the first 2 weeks when we get the spring weather coming around. And then the way I think of it is like, as Catholics, we pray every day. We, going to mass on Sunday, and reading the Bible that stuff that I look at, I'm like, it's similar to that self-discipline, because it's like, it's going to sound crazy. At least I used to think like this. I've kind of gone away from it a little bit, which is good. There's times where it's like I mean, honestly, maybe everyone experiences like where you just don't want to pray. Yeah. Because maybe, usually it's something like, oh, I prayed the last, 2 weeks, and I feel like I've gained nothing out of it. Mm-hmm. Even though God's still listening, mm-hmm. but if you don't feel sometimes you don't feel His presence, you do feel a little like maybe I don't want to do this. Or mm-hmm. There's going to be mass, the masses when you go to them. It's the best mass you ever went. But then you might have 2 months where it's just seems like any other thing. Even though it's not. Mm-hmm. Every day, every time you go to mass, there is a miracle happening every single time. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, it's just sometimes you're just
Yeah. Oh,
but then 100%. You think about it, you would not want to be anywhere else.
No.
But it's still, it's not a bad thing, but.
It's that drive that it takes beforehand, just to even drive to mass and to show up there and to be there. You know what I mean? It's so rewarding, and I do feel the same thing with practice, because I do get burnt out. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think it happens to everybody though, and it's the same with spiritual life. And the thing is when you're a thing that I can relate to as well is when you're running versus when you're at mass, or just even in your spiritual life. Let's say when you're doing any sort of sport, it takes discipline. But when you're on your highs, for me this season, every single race has been a PR, mm-hmm. which is
rare. I think that happened my first year running in 8th grade,
which is never it's unheard of. And so I'm on an all-time high, but that doesn't mean I can stop running.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That doesn't mean I can ease up. That means I got to dig in deeper. So it's the same with your prayer life, because especially for people that are thinking about converting, or they're just converted, they just got baptized. You're on that high, which is amazing. Or let's say you're just getting done with a retreat. You're on that high. But the important thing is not to let the world pop that high. Is to keep on showing up. Is to keep on praying every day with the same amount of intensity. To keep on going to mass with the same amount of dedication. And even if you're burnt out, just do it burnt out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As best as you can, at least. Just fight for that, because that's what God wants for you. You know what I mean?
And this goes perfectly into the next thing I'm going to say. It's just that long-term goal. Mm-hmm. Okay, you want to simplify it to what our long-term goal is. It's the eternal salvation. It's being in heaven, being in full communion with God. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You look at it running, it's okay. I think I look at some of my long-term goals when I was a freshman, going into college running, and I was okay. After the first couple of races, I was okay, this is what I want when my college career is all said and done. I want my 8K time to be this. I want my 5K time to break this barrier, mile. You have all those goals for your races. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest part of running. Mm-hmm. All those practice, all those tempos you do, all those different 200-meter tune-ups for your final kick of any race. It's that all goes to what? The race itself. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what we're in right now. Sometimes. And this might not be the best analogy, but sometimes the mass could be that workout, and praying could be that 8-mile easy run. You know what I mean? It's just, think of it that way. Yeah, I just like that, looking into that long-term goal. So for us, as Catholics, it's we want to get to heaven, full communion of God. But then it starts from the first thing I said, where it's showing up every day. And then it's do it, burn out. I love that. Because it's really funny you mentioned that, because that's the point where I've gotten. I think I mentioned on here at least the first episode or second episode. And if I haven't, you're going to hear it now, but I'm pretty sure I have. I think we were starting this, I was at a spot where, what's the opposite of spiritual dryness? I can never remember. It's called,
fruitful?
No.
Spiritual?
I cannot remember. That's okay.
Yeah.
But just the moment in your life where being a good Catholic is easy in a sense. Not easy, but it's you feel God's presence, and it's doing hard things feels better.
Yeah.
Because he's.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
He feels like he's right next to you, which he probably is. Mm-hmm. But it's that's where I was for a good 3 weeks. Well, I'll say this: the last week and a half, 10 days or so, maybe almost on 2 weeks. Not that I wouldn't say burnt out is the case, but it's I think I mentioned last time where it's I've been praying the rosary every day. I'm over 3 weeks now, and it's But there's times where I wake up and it's like, well, now it's a routine, which we were talking about last time. Good routines, good habits become virtues, and that virtue builds character. That character that was, thank God, built into me, where it's like, okay, I don't necessarily want to pray the rosary. I do, though. I do. But maybe now I want, like, now the temptations of scrolling reels has came back, opposed to when I was just very on fire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, like, the temptations are coming back, but it's like, I pull my phone out, open up Instagram, and I was like, no, this feels like crap. I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, okay, no, because I do want to pray. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, let's just do it burnt out. And not necessarily burnt out. But
not where you hate it. You enjoy it afterwards.
No, I do enjoy it. And I do enjoy it in times during. But I will say, like, there are times where I pray the rosary and I'm, like, just 100% into it. And there's times where I space out, but he's not getting mad at me. It's the fact that I'm willing to, like, try again. And maybe I'm on the third Hail Mary of the fourth decade, and I'm saying, like, oh, let me check back in, okay? That it's the willingness to try, keep trying, the way I look at it. But that's definitely the spot that I've gone into, though, where I think I'm heading towards that territory where it's like, do I want to do this?
It's like, buckle up.
But it's like, yeah, I do want to do it because this is the happiest I've ever been, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Man, the next, I tell you about doing it burnt out, that's another, full transparency, when it comes to the off seasons, that is when training for me is the hardest, because the place that I live, it's there's the actual, like, the scenery while I'm running is a lot of cornfields.
Like, I like cornfields.
There are some routes I have that are really, really pretty, but for me and I'm like running alone while you're running by cornfields every single day, doing the same out and backs. It can get a little bit dry. We might need to switch lives over the summer. I'm not gonna lie, but I get it. You should come try some of my routes. Right. But anyways, so because I do get sick of running alone. I tend to lose a little bit of motivation, and so that's what I'll tell myself is, you know what, I don't want to run, but just do it burnt out. If I'm not motivated, just do it unmotivated. You know what I mean? And then I start that run and I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Or I'm not, and that's the truth of it. But then I finish.
You feel really good
after.
Oh
you
my
know
gosh,
I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes I trick myself. This is kind of a side tangent, but I remember my freshman year, winter came. Well, we had a really good winter 2 years ago. This one's been very, very bad and very, very, very harsh, but it's okay. Two winters ago, I remember I just didn't want to run over the winter break a few days, and I was like, okay, I don't want to run, but I'll get out of bed. Okay, I'm out of bed. I still don't want to run, but I'll put my running clothes on. Okay, I got my running clothes on. I still don't want to run, but I'll step outside and start my watch. And then you take that first step, and it's step. You just got to be able to reason it out. Bit, but I get it. No, I actually am also the opposite on another thing you said. I actually love the beginning of the summer, because here's why.
Oh, I love the beginning of summer.
Well, no, in terms of, like, the off-season of running, though.
Oh, okay.
Here's what I'm going to get into.
Yep.
It's, like, kind of a clean slate again, right?
That's true.
Because it's a time of, like, I think, well, to be fair, your experience is after high school. It's not the same amount of intensity and seriousness. I promise you.
Very true.
When you go back home, I promise you, you're going to sit there and you're going to recap everything you've done, at least running-wise, and you're going to be like, dang, I just did that. Mm-hmm. Now you're going to be like, what's in store for me next year? Like, I'm going to do that all again. I'm going to do the whole thing for, like, 9 months again. I promise you, it's different. Like, off-season training is different. Like, you're going to like it a lot, especially in college. Yeah. But I get your point now, why it seems a little, like, because before, you didn't know what you were walking into. I could clearly tell you love it now, and now it's like, dang, I got 3 more years of this at the very least. So, so yeah.
100%, yeah.
Our next thing, this is actually my favorite topic to talk about. Oh my gosh. Which is, I'll seem crazy when you guys hear it. And you'll probably hear me talk about it a lot. It's just kind of like the strength that's built from suffering.
Yep.
You hear me probably talk about that all the time. I'll talk about suffering as the most beautiful thing ever, which I sound crazy, but it is. I will talk to a wall if you disagree with me, because here's what happened. Do you suffer? Actually, let's start with the running aspect of it first. It's like, there's some days, let's say you're used to holding that 6 flat mile pace for whatever workout, but then there's a day that's going to come where that 6 flat is going to feel like you're going 540, and then 620 feels like you're just out of shape. You're not even out of shape. It's just an off day, right? Mm-hmm. And then maybe on that, like, second to last strap, you're just like, man, I'm barely holding on for dear life, and you're suffering mentally maybe. Okay, here's a better example. I remember I texted Joey because I was on the treadmill in our weight room, and I was like, dude, I need headphones. And I'm someone who like actually despises that, but not despise it. Sorry, that was exaggerated. Oh, my freshman year, basically, I like kind of stopped using headphones on my runs because that made it easy for me, and I don't want it to be easy because I'm not gonna have headphones in the races. But besides the point, we had a workout on the treadmill, and for whatever reason, everything in my head was saying like no, and I had to deal with that for 24 minutes, which was the minimum amount of time I could be on there. I could have been on there for more, and usually I at least hit the upper end of all the workouts our coach gives us. But I was like, I'm doing the minimum today. Like I just couldn't do it. I was like, Joe, I need these headphones. He gave it to me. They still weren't. It still wasn't enough for me. I was suffering. Like I was genuinely like, this sucks. This is awful. And I got done. I was like, that wasn't even a good workout. And I was like, whatever. But you know what? Not every day is like that, because then you realize the beauty in that. Because then there's gonna be a time where I don't have to do it on the treadmill. It's not gonna be negative 14 outside. You know. You're not going to have to slip on every other step when you're on the sidewalk because people don't plow their driveways or sidewalks. But also, you know, there's suffering too when I had a bad first 3 races of the indoor season, which is half, a little over half. But there was also a really beautiful moment when I said, okay, this doesn't define me. This is not my full potential. And then when I started to meet that full potential, it was like, okay, this is the beautiful thing about it. But I would have not gotten to that beautiful part about it if I didn't have the suffering. Like, suffering is the most beautiful thing. It puts everything else into perspective. And when you hand it over to God, that's when, like, the real magic happens.
More on that. So, I think when it comes to running, I think running in general, especially if you're doing an easy run. When we say easy run, that just basically means we're gonna run with a group of people at whatever pace feels easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a social thing. Those are fun runs. You know what I mean?
They are.
But then comes race day, and now I have a very good, not maybe good, but an interesting take on race day, because there's been, with this injury that I've had for so long, I've had to miss so many races. You know what I mean? And so the thing about racing, though, that every runner knows, especially any like mid-distance, distance runners know, racing is the greatest and worst thing you'll ever do, because when you are actually racing, it's a mind game. I always this of course doesn't apply to everybody, but what I always say is that running is a sport where your brain will give out before your body does. And that's what makes it so hard, right? Is because we can push our body as hard as we can push our minds, because it's pure pain for the duration of your race. But there's something so rewarding, though, about racing and knowing that you just endured, however long your race is, right? You just endured pain for that long, and you were able to run step by step every inch of that race. You ran it yourself. You know what I mean? You did that. Like, you had people cheering you on, but you're the one moving your legs. And so I've had to miss, like I said, so many races in the years coming up, coming here, in my middle school and high school years. I've had to miss a lot of races because of just injuries that for the longest time, nobody knew what was wrong. Nobody knew what was going on. So, anyways, I've been praying before the races, you know what I mean? And just like thanking God for letting me stand on the starting line. You know what I mean? For getting me one more week of running, for getting me on the starting line this week. Like I feel like it's like I'm fighting my running career at the front end. You know what I mean? It's like it's week by week, paycheck to paycheck. But we make it every week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've been standing on the lines. And not only that, but I've been PRing every week. And so before the races, oftentimes we'll ask if all the competitors want to pray together. And most people are willing, and if not, that's their choice. But most people, they're willing to pray with us. They're willing to pray together. And then I get in the start line. I always make the sign of the cross and just thank God for getting me on the start line.
Me too. I didn't know you did that.
Yeah. I've never told anyone that, but it's just because it's it's personal, but I it's a personal thanks. You know what I mean? And it's genuine.
Oh, yeah.
Because that suffering unites me with my Catholic faith and with God. We'll have to do an episode 100% on Fatima, or the appearances of
Do a couple of them.
Of
Mary apparitions.
the Marian apparitions. But I had I was fortunate enough a couple years ago to be able to visit Fatima.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the knee walk, where I believe it was Lucia, or Lucia, however you want to pronounce it.
It is Lucia. Yeah.
Did the knee walk. She actually did it for like 3 miles or something. But they have the little shrine that they made.
Mm-hmm.
You can walk. I think it's maybe a fifth of a mile, where you're walking on your knees on like maybe it's some hard stone, marble, granite, something. You're walking, then you go around the chapel or the shrine, and that's another just example of suffering, because I was like, you know what, I want to do this. I want to do this. You know what I mean? And so I remember walking with my knees, and I had thought and prayed for an intention that I had beforehand, that I wanted to offer my pain to that person. You know what I mean? And it was excruciating, because you'd feel the pebbles. There's no leeway on the rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was such, like, it united me with the Lord. Like, it made me think about Him, like, sitting there enduring 38 or 39 lashes on His back, tied to a podium, in front of everybody. Like, that's the kind of pain He would go through. Then not only that, but to get nails put through His hands, and to be put up on a cross. You know what I mean? Like that is love.
Yeah.
Like, I can run, I can do this knee walk, I can suffer all I want for someone, but it doesn't even compare. And like, oh, I don't know, it's just,
That's what love is. It's sacrificial.
yeah, it is. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so I think our next point is just kind of just the training plan and the rules that go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So like as runners, we follow. Hopefully, I mean, not easy. It's not always easy, but like following like a certain mileage plan. Also, just stuff with like schedules, pacing, nutrition too.
Yeah.
And then like just thinking about like as Catholics, you follow the teachings. There's just rules about going to mass, the commandments, obviously, but the what the church guides us to do as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we submit to that.
Mm-hmm.
But what that does is it help us reach what we said at the beginning, our goal. So I don't know if you wanted to touch up anything on that.
No, I think that's all, like, obviously very accurate. You know what I mean? I think that there's no end point without a journey, right? Life is not a race, but indeed a journey, is a quote that's hung up in my house. Because, like, at the end of the day, when I race, it's, if I run the mile. I'm a mid distance, so the mile is just about as high as I'll go, usually, right? So it's mile. I've raced 1K this year, and I'm gonna do one on Friday, which I'm excited about.
Nice.
But anyways, like, max we'll say 5 minutes for cross country. Max of like around 30.
Yeah.
Maybe for Tomas, what is it, 29 or something?
Yeah, I think I got down to 28:30. So.
Yeah, for 5 miles, which is pretty good. Anyways, so, yeah, like, but it's not about that 28 and a half minutes. It's not about that 5 minutes. Like, without the hundreds of hours, thousands of hours probably that are put into training, you don't get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same with prayer. If you're not willing to put in time to pray, or to go to mass, or to go to confession, or to, if you're just going to go to mass on Christmas and Easter, like, what's even if the end goal might be eternal salvation, I mean, I can pray for a 5-minute mile, but I only run twice a year. You know what I mean? Which obviously can happen for people. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it's a journey, and like it's not all about the destination. It's about the journey, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, because running, like for me, a 4:59 mile, it wouldn't have felt nearly as special if there wasn't so much anticipation and so much work getting there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
The other one I want to go into, I just have 2 more. This is probably my favorite one. Actually, no, we have 3 more. So I wanted to actually get into the community aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
I could go on and on about this. We got a coach, we got teammates, we got ourselves, and like I said, when Joey finishes 4:59, like everyone was happy. It was almost honestly just as much of a win for behalf of our teammates as it was for you and
100%.
for coach and our
100%.
coaches. Like it was like his victory was our victory. Like it was, and that's what you want out of life. So for my example of that is like I have friends back home where it's like my suffering is their suffering. It has nothing to do with them. If I say I have X, Y, and Z going on and that's hurting me, they might not have X, Y, and Z, but the fact that I'm hurting is hurting them. And like I pray that everyone can find that because I'm lucky enough to have like 2 of those honestly, where it's like, dang, like your hurt is my hurt, but also your glory is my glory, and in the sense where it's like they're just so happy for you. And then I like to look into the coach's aspect. You know, we got a coach that sets us up to win. I mean, not like what he always says, like don't run not to lose, run to win, right?
Yeah.
And actually, this is perfect because one of my favorite quotes is as I can't remember the verse now, but I remember the verse. I don't remember specifically when is this. 1 Corinthians 13. Just run as to win, basically.
Yep.
I just thought of it. But basically, like, I have mentors too. You know, Woj and NT, they're like mentors. You know, I have a deacon back home at my home parish, and I'll call him when I have something that like I'm concerned about. But like, it's not just like it's not like he's like, okay, like it's like I want to hear about this. I want to help you. I want to understand to the fullest because I want to help you. And that's his job. It's beautiful. And I look at, like, I have another guy that I talked to. He was my theology teacher in high school, and then he led a small group that I was in, and I still talk to him to this day. Awesome dude. I have put multiple issues in front of him, and those are people that help me a lot. And I'm sure you have those too. Like older people that are mentors for you. When I see that, I think of our coaches and running. But then you look at your best friends that help you grow spiritually. It's like those are your teammates cheering you on when you're in the race, you know, when the going gets tough. So yeah, I would like to hear what you have on that.
Well, I love that you mentioned that. Like, the aspect of like, I would still say I'm one of the slower guys in the team, right? And, but I show up every day to practice just like everybody else. When I run the workouts, everyone else is running the workouts. So when I'm suffering through a workout, so is everybody else, right? It might not be the same workout, but they're suffering the same amount. And everyone knows my goal. Everyone knew that your goal was to go under 950.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that my goal was to go under 5. And it's that during the workouts, I'm not running alone like I might be during the off season. I'm running with a team. You know what I mean? I have people to push me, because when I break 5, everyone breaks 5, even if they've already done it. But like I said, I remember I crossed that finish line, and I was so happy. I was like, yes, I was so happy. And I turn around, and I'm not even joking you. I turn around, and there's just the whole team is just there. They're all dapping me up. They're all hyping me up. And I mean, what a better way to cross the finish line. That's kind of how I picture, God willing, if I ever get into heaven, you know, that's kind of how I picture it. You know what I mean? Like
all the saints and like
everybody's waiting at the finish line and they know they want me there. You know what I mean? And they're gonna be, I mean, maybe not dapping me up. You never know. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's how I picture it. And like, but Jesus will be there too, even though he was racing right alongside me. He'll be there in heaven too. You know what I mean? And that community is what gets you places, because if you struggle to run when nobody's around you, it makes sense, because I mean, there's no one there to push you, right? Like it's you and yourself and your will, honestly. Which even during the off season, I'll just think about the next season. I'll think about I'm running right now so that I can run successfully with everyone else next season. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I do love running by myself. It's just, it's a different sport.
It's a different animal.
And I think that's how it is with our spiritual life as well. it's 100% possible to do that on your own, but the Catholic Church is a family, right? Like,
yeah,
if you can just find your brothers, find your sisters, pray with them, make those spiritual connections. You need people that you can just go to with religious questions or just like talk about faith. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what you need, though.
Yeah.
It's not a solo battle, and it never needs to be. So.
Well, speaking of the solo battle, the next thing I wanted to talk about was like falling and getting back up. Right.
Okay. Yep.
I mean, just think about running. There's so many times. I mean, I bet runners spend more time thinking about how like they should be here or there than they actually are appreciating where they're at from where they were.
100%. So, this is something we talk about a lot.
Oh yeah, all the time. But then more spiritual life, it's like you look at sin and it's like we're human. No matter how many times we walk out of confession and we say like we're gonna strive, not to be there again. We know we're gonna be there again.
Yeah.
Which is like good. We should go back there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the beauty of like kind of like the falling and getting back up aspect is like just the sacrament of confession. I mean, love the sacrament, right? You just I think the falling in despair aspect of it. It's like, okay, like I said, I didn't have a great start to the indoor season, but it was like, okay, I could just think about all this stuff that I could nitpick and tweak things that don't need to be nitpicked or tweaked, and just be like, why is this happening? Where it's like, just give it some time. You look at like maybe a sin you're struggling with, or anything along those lines where it's like, why am I struggling with this? Like, just take it away. But there's a reason why you're still struggling with it. Sometimes I think of it like this. Like, sometimes I remember one of my friends showed me a video a few months ago where it's like, some people are like might still be struggling with sins because the reason why they might want it to get taken away might be out of the self-pride and not because of the love of God. Mm-hmm. I mean, that when I saw that, it clicked right away. I was like, wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But like, think about it. Like, there were times in my past, and I've done a really good job not falling into it. It's a lot better, obviously, where you just don't fall in despair. Where it's like, what's happening? What's wrong? I'm the worst person in the world. It's like, no, just stop, because it's like we're human, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing. We're not perfect. We strive to be perfect, but we're never going. Well, we're not in this world. We're not going to be. And I could just compare that to running, weight training, anything where I'm trying to make self-improvements. You could go on and on about that, where it's just, why am I not benching X amount, right? Where it's like, you gotta still show up day in and day out. That's basically what I have, is kind of just circled around that. I don't know if you have anything on that.
Well, this reminds me of a conversation we had. Actually, it was the same day that I brought Tomas those headphones for the hard workout. I remember you finished the workout, and I still had to cool down, I believe. And I was like, well, if Tomas is done, I want the headphones.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And Tomas was just doing some extra weight training. And so I remember you were telling me like, oh, it didn't feel like a good workout, and you were seeming super bummed because at this point in time, the season hadn't been looking too bright. You know what I mean? I don't think you had any races that you were very proud of.
No, not even close.
But anyways, and so I just remember you were, I mean, like I said, it sounded like you were kind of in that moment of despair where it's 100% like,
was.
And I remember telling you, at the end of the day, one workout doesn't matter. One race doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
This now, yeah.
And I think that's like, for most of the time it's true. Like, individually, one workout, if it doesn't feel great, it's not the end of the world. If you don't race good for one or a couple races, I don't remember how many it had been at this time, but it's not the end of the world, because if you keep up that consistency, if you treat that one workout like it doesn't matter that it didn't feel good, but at least I showed up. Well, look at yourself a year from now. If you keep on showing up to that one workout that didn't matter, you're in a whole new place.
Yeah. Think of it like prayer, though, too.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. We're just like, I should be. It's so inconsistent. Like, I remember that's what I was struggling with before I decided. It's like, no, you know what? Rosary every day. I don't care. This is what it has to be for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just need like an XO thing where it's like, all right, open it up. This is what I do. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not to say I still don't pray outside of the rosary, but it's like my prayer life was so inconsistent. It's like, for me, I realized it needs to be at least started in the morning. Like yesterday, I think I prayed like 2 decades in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and then 1 at night. But it's fine. The other days, like today, I got the whole thing in today before I even started my day, really.
Mm-hmm.
Before I left my apartment. But it's like, just keep showing up. Because there's going to be times when you pray and you don't feel anything. But that doesn't mean God didn't hear you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And for my last thing is just trusting the process. The 2 things that come to mind are just faith and hope. You got to have a small amount of faith. Imagine you had a lot of faith. Mm-hmm. Right now I'm in a spot where I have a lot of faith in the Lord. Like, I feel like all the doors are open for me, you know, especially just being like younger, like 20 and just got my whole life ahead of me. But it's like, Lord, like, I hear a lot of people are stressed with like, you know, like, am I going to meet my future spouse? Am I going to get this job? How am I going to have kids? Where am I going to live? All that stuff, right? Where it's like, you know what? I'll just give it to you, God. And like, I know when certain things walk into my life, and if it's from you, I'm gonna have full confidence and courage in that, and then just have faith that I'm right, and then just have hope for those opportunities to come. So that's what I think about trusting the process, because that goes with the first 6 things that I mentioned. If you're not trusting what you're doing, it's like, what are you doing at that point?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I would encourage anybody, like, if you're watching this and you're not into athletics, you don't have any sports, set a goal for yourself and make it and do it every day. So, like, one that I always will think back to is get 10,000 steps a day. Or maybe, you know, adjust that for yourself. Just stretch yourself a little bit every day, and whenever you feel like you just don't want to do it, just say a little prayer and like say, Lord, thank you for giving me the ability to do this. You know what I mean? Because some people can't, and that's the reality. I had an eye-opening experience. This was a little bit ago. My cousin, who might end up watching this, he just had an ACL injury. So he tore his ACL on the first day of football practice, and he couldn't. He hasn't hardly been able to walk. For the longest time, he's been doing a great job recovering. It's been really fun watching his road back, and now he's walking around, and it's been awesome. But anyways, I just remember, and I wasn't even thinking, I was just texting him. I was like, man, I do not want to run today. And of course, he was joking. He wasn't meaning, there was nothing. He was completely joking, and he said, at least you can run.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's so true, you know what I mean? And he apologized a million times. He probably felt bad, but I was like, no, that's true though. Like, at least I can run, you know what I mean? Like, as much as I don't want to, at least I can. And I don't know, for some reason, I get to, exactly.
That's my favorite thing. Anytime I catch myself, I have to go to mass. No, I get to go to mass.
Exactly, and it was so eye-opening. So, like I said, I would highly, highly recommend set some physical goal for yourself and stay consistent with it, whether it be walking 10,000 steps, or maybe you can't do a pull-up and you want to learn to do a pull-up. Go for it. You know what I mean?
Something that everyone wants to do.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Set yourself a goal and go for it, because and when you achieve it, remember, like, God did that. You know what I mean? Like, you might be pulling, but God's pushing your elbows. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. It's your life will change, your view on the faith will change, and everything will be great.
I like the thing you mentioned was just like a little prayer, dude. Those little prayers, huge. Because there's times, like, you ever catch yourself thinking where it's like you think about a certain situation, you're just like, I don't know what God's gonna make of, or I don't know what I'm gonna make of it, and then you gotta be like, Lord, it's in your hands. Not just like it's in your hands, I'll do nothing, but it's like, Lord, I'm at least not going to just think about this. I'm going to go and do things that I think you want me to do with said thing, but just doing the sign of the cross is being like, Lord, like, and with the full heart saying like, Lord, no, this is in your hands, and I want it to be in your hands. That's something that I've really gotten into lately when I think about the million things that might come up in my head where it's like, all right, I don't really want to think about this longer than I need to. It's yours. And then just, if I had to do that 5 more times within the next hour, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if everything else to add to this topic, but I think I'm all good.
I think I'm all good. I could talk forever, but
Yeah.
we'll keep it. It's already been
Yeah.
a little bit longer than normal, but anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope everyone has a great week.
Peace.
I'll just have to edit that little